Welcome to Loose Change. Hey, it looked good on paper. I'm Jim Evans. Thanks for joining us, and you will be so glad you did. I always say that, but we have another great guest coming right up, so hang with us. Great news from downtown Youngstown. The new DoubleTree Hotel opened up. Have you guys seen the pictures, the videos in there? It looks terrific. This is going to be such a big boost for downtown. And it's been a long time coming, I got to say. You know, it doesn't say a whole lot about your city when your newest downtown facility with the best accommodations is the county jail. This is really going to be good, though, for sure, no doubt. Greg, recently I had to have root canal. Man, that's never any fun. I was thinking, you know, the only thing worse than root canal is root canal. But the procedure went really good. The best doctor in town, Tony DiRenzo. If you got to have this done, go see him for sure. And he is really sensitive to his patients' needs. Like after the procedure, he wanted to continue pain management, so he gave me another shot of Novocaine before he stuck me with the bill. Great job, Tony, though, for sure. Speaking of root canal, you guys see the royal wedding? Man, did that drag on. Well, really, a lot of people were into 29 million people watched that. I caught a little bit of it. I was really excited when they showed the Queen of England. Well, I hadn't seen Elton John for quite a while, so it was cool that he was there. You guys may have heard the Cleveland Browns will be the featured team on HBO's Hard Knocks. They're going to follow the team in training camp and then preseason, you've seen it before. Apparently, a lot of the focus, though, is going to be on top draft pick Baker Mayfield. You know, to this point, for Cleveland, the best you might see is a news feature on a Baker from Mayfield Heights. They'll take it. I was looking at Hugh Jackson, head coach Hugh Jackson's bio, and I noticed his birthday was January 31st. And I looked closer, it's his record, 1-31. But Hugh is a man of his words. He said last year, if the Browns don't win more than one game, he was going to jump in the lake. And apparently he's going to do that, raise money for charity, so that's really cool. And you know, it is so very rare when a guy in sports who's pretty much winless has to take a dive. Actually, though, he's not going to dive in. He's going to walk in, wade in up to his chest, which is probably pretty good because it really seems that he's in over his head. A lot of excitement about the Cavs in the playoffs, of course, as always. And now there's word that they're going to start up a Cavs dating site. That's right. If you're a Cavs fan, get online, maybe meet somebody, go on a date. I think this would be a lot of fun for a lot of people. But as I've said before, for me, if I was out there, the last thing I want to be is in a rebound relationship. Hey, speaking of such matters, basketball coach Andy Vlajkovich joins us next right here on Loose Change. Don't fade away.
Armstrong Telephone is an ordinary service with extraordinary features. Call anywhere in the U.S. and Canada with greater clarity and reliability than cell phone service. Listen to voicemail and manage calling features online. Even get caller ID on TV. Make the switch. Get all your local and long-distance calling from Armstrong Telephone for only $9.95 a month for 6 months. And keep your current number. Plus, the added benefit of free 24/7 local support. Telephone service from Armstrong. One wire, infinite possibilities.
See, I wasn't kidding. I told you we had a great guest. Joining me right now here on Loose Change, Andy Vlajkovich, the new head coach of the Canton McKinley Bulldogs boys basketball team. Coach, thanks for being here, and appreciate you taking the time to join us. And what we like to do with our victims, or our guests off the top, for those who don't know, give us a little resume, a little background, where you went to school, and how your career path took shape.
Well, originally I am a Canfield Cardinal. I played for the legendary John Cullen.
There you are.
Coach Cullen won 1 million games at Canfield, and seems like he won 500,000 more at South Range. And went on to Grove City College, where I played for Coach Steve Lammy and played there 4 years. And had a good career at both places. Was a good player, not a great player, but just So I got into my coaching career and went to Boardman for a few years and for 4 years, and then Canfield back as an assistant for a year, and I got the Rootstown head job in 2008, and then from there latched on at Warren Harding as an assistant for 1 year in 2011, and got the head job the following year. When I've been there 6 years ever since.
Mm-hmm. And now it's
And now it's on now
down the road.
and now it's on to Canton
76.
McKinley. Yes.
Well, we'll get into that. But you mentioned Coach Cullen, of course, and who, along with him, who might be maybe some other guys that you took from, or maybe you emulated to kind of get you where you're at in your coaching style and philosophies, perhaps.
Well, Coach gave me my base. I mean,
Yeah.
my base has always been John Cullen. That's always kind of been the guy that I've looked up to and talked to. But as you go, I'm 15 years now into the coaching business and 9 years as a head coach, and you learn from a lot of different people. I run ideas by guys that I've coached against, guys that guys that I've played against, and got a lot of buddies now that I grew up playing with, that now all of a sudden are great coaches themselves, and you get going in this business and you just start talking and running ideas past each other. So it's been a great, no one specific. My college coach, Steve Lammy, my high school coach, John Cullen. But other than that, it's just been a hodgepodge of kind of guys that I've really, studied, and I'm kind of the guy that gets I'll have the notebook out tonight, right in the living room for the Rockets Warriors, and just seeing any action or seeing any things that you like. So that's where we're at.
Got to be a sponge.
Got to be a sponge.
It's a never-ending learning process, isn't it?
Well, it's funny you just used the term sponge. When I was in fourth grade basketball in the Canton Saturday morning program, Coach Cullen used to give us the speech about, are you a rock or are you a sponge? And so kind of to tie in John Cullen with your analogy of a sponge, if you're not a sponge as a player and you're not a sponge as a coach, I don't think you have a great future in this operation.
What is your coaching philosophy now?
You know what?
If you can define it.
Yeah, I mean, you almost feel like you could write a book on something like that. But I think the number one thing is, in this time that we live in today, sports is the one thing that can teach kids about things they can't learn anywhere else.
Yes.
If you look back to the olden days, as they say, kids learn from jobs, kids learn from working on the farm, kids learn from all kinds of different venues. But now, a lot of kids learn from sports. They learn about failure. They learn about teamwork. They learn about how to handle success. They learn about, there's a lot of things that kids now learn through sports that they now take into their real lives. And my whole thing is, as coaches, we have to win games. But the most important thing is we have to model young men. And sometimes those two things butt heads. Because sometimes you're put in a tough situation where, like, hey, I need to do this discipline-wise, but I've got to win this game.
Yeah.
And that's not always easy. That's not always an easy decision to make, even as a coach. But the biggest thing is making great students, great men, great players. It's kind of the thing that's always in the back of my mind when you go throughout your daily business.
You mentioned that about sports, and there's just such a bond that's formed among people in different facets and maybe ways of life that kids can take beyond their playing careers and into life.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like, if you don't have a relationship with your players after they leave you, and if you don't have a relationship with the coaches that you've coached with after, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to relationships. It all comes down to those memories that you're going to share. And I just read a quote today on social media about Brad Stevens, and he said something, and I won't get this quote exactly right, but the true definition of fun is when you do something that no one thought you could do, no one wanted you to do, you did it anyways, and you did it with a bunch of people that you care about. And I think, like, when you get that, when you see that, and I'm a Cavs fan, I'm a LeBron fan, but Brad Stevens is kind of the it he's kind of the it guy in coaching right now. Yep. And if you're not reading Brad Stevens and you're not learning from Brad Stevens in the coaching world, I think you're missing the boat. So when you see something like that, it kind of sends chills down your spine, because that is what it's all about. I mean, a lot of kids today want to. They want to play the video game or Fortnite. It's the new trend, or they want to get all the social media attention, and that's fun to them. But I think the longer you go in this, the true fun is exactly what Brad Stevens says, doing something you can't do, no one thought you could do, with a bunch of people you care about, and it's kind of neat.
Right on the money. As taping of this show, Cavs down 3-2 or 3-1. 3-2 to the Celtics. 3-2.
Yeah,
3-2. That's right.
Give him a chance.
Yeah. It's like, what am I thinking? It's 3-2. They still have a chance. So, and we'll see if we have time to talk about that before we're done. But you mentioned kids with social media, and every coach I talk to, high school coach I talk to, no matter what sport, what are the challenges that you face? And a lot of them mention, how kids are so tied into that now, and that's one of the big things that the coaches have to deal with.
Well, I think it gives kids a snapshot of what could be, but it never gives kids the actuality and the reality of what those people's situations are. For example, nobody realizes that LeBron is at an 8 a.m. yoga workout. Nobody realizes that LeBron James hasn't eaten refined sugar or a piece of bread in 7 years. Like Tom Brady and LeBron, these guys their diets are impeccable. Their strength and conditioning program, they are totally committed to their craft. And a lot of kids want to think they're committed to their craft, but they're not really committed to their craft. And it's a weird dynamic because you want to make sure kids have a childhood, and kids should be able to go eat ice cream and hamburgers and do all that. But at the same time, you're watching a lot of guys now who have changed their ways of life. And when they change their ways of life, they're getting that success on the back end of things. Yeah. But a lot of kids see one thing. They see the success. They see the Sports Center highlight. They see the YouTube clip. They see these like chunks. Well, we could take any of our lives and take a YouTube clip of them. But if you followed us around for, we have our hardships and we have our tough times, but kids don't see that when they deal with our superstars today. And then social media, just you can alter it however you want. And so it's great for exposure. It's great in a lot of ways, and I'm a social media guy. But it also kind of warps our kids' minds into thinking that this is the way life is or should be, and that's just not the reality of it.
Exactly. Well, you have feet on both sides of the line, so that's a pretty good balance for you. What might be other challenges as a coach that you've seen maybe be consistent along the way in your career, or maybe the things that have changed, if anything?
I think adults have changed. I mean, I think the old days
Everybody says that.
I mean, I think the old days of going home and mom and dad saying, "How was practice today?" And you said, "Coach yelled at me," and my dad was fully supportive of that. My mom and dad were fully supportive of that. And nowadays it's, what do you mean coach yelled at you? I just think sometimes the parenting aspect of things has become, be a great parent, be involved, but I think things have escalated to the point that maybe we're a little too involved now, so.
It's so key to have, the full backing of the school administration, and that certainly can feed into any program success.
You know what? My administrations when I was at Rootstown, I had an unbelievable administration. Andrew Hawkins was our superintendent. Keith West was our athletic director. Awesome guys, great sport guys. Always had our backs, and didn't have a whole lot of issues out there. And at Warren Harding, I mean, our superintendent Steve Shiro has been nothing but supportive. Dante Capers, our principal. Bill Nicholson, our athletic director, had good administrations. I mean. I've often bragged, you got on with your coaching buddies at the state tournament or whatever, and everybody's talking about this, that, and the other thing, and administration always comes up. And I have to be honest, I've been very lucky with my two administrations, and my new administration, Greg Malone and Adrian Allison, I'm expecting the same things.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with more of Andy Vlajkovich here on Loose Change. Be right back.
You see our vans every day. They travel the length of our broadband network, bringing you the best services available. Our technicians and representatives are knowledgeable, available, and nationally recognized as being among the very best in the business. We're a regular presence in our community, always ready to lend a hand. We're Armstrong, a leader in the broadband industry. Your friends and neighbors, taking pride in our jobs, and a real partner in making our community a better place.
Welcome back to Loose Change. I'm Jim Evans, along with Canton McKinley head basketball coach Andy Vlajkovich. And of course, you leave. It's bittersweet because we hate to see you go, but it's a great opportunity. And you've been at Warren Harding the last half dozen years. And talk about what that opportunity was like when that presented itself for you. Steve Arnold had a lot of success, running the program, and he moved over to the football side. I know you were confident going in, but what were your thoughts when you took over the job?
Well, Warren Harding was really good to me. I can't say a bad word about anything that happened in Warren. We had great kids, we had great administrators, I had a great staff there, and we had a lot of good success. Warren's a great town, a special town, and I'm sure whoever takes that job will do great things with that. But Canton McKinley is Canton McKinley, and if you've ever stepped into the field house and you realize that they had 20 some odd years of consistently having an NBA player in the league. Yeah. They had a Canton McKinley graduate in the league for 20 some odd years. And I recently just hired Keith McLeod, who played in the league for 6 years from 2003 to 2009. And so to bring him back into the program, it says a lot about the town. And they won a state championship in 2005 and 2006, and the town loves basketball. And with the recent merger of Timken and McKinley together, I just think the possibilities are endless. And it was not an easy transition. It was not an easy. I'm really interested in this because Warren was so good to me, and Warren was such a good job. But again, when you walk into that field house, it's like how do you say no to this? And there's not many jobs I would leave for. I always told people I would leave for something that my family had to leave for, something in the Columbus market, or I would leave for a job that you just couldn't say no to. And
this and the Cavs. So
yeah. But I think the Canton McKinley job's actually easier than the Cavs job.
You mentioned that field house, and I say this every year. I look forward so much to going over there and calling regional games, on the radio side, and occasionally, we'll have to go down the street to the Civic Center. It's like, oh, geez, I don't want to go there. Get us to the field house. That's where we want to be. That place has so much history. There's ghosts there. It's just such a special venue.
Well, and I kind of joke with people when I say, it smells like popcorn in the Truman administration. Like it just has such a great old feel to it, and the number of games that have been there. And I remember Coach Cullen in high school, my high school coach, taking me over to the D3 and D4 regionals, and then when I was in the Federal League as an assistant with Dan Gorski and Jared Cardillo, we coached over there, and that was actually during the time when they had their really good runs in 05 and 06 when they won the state title. But you just walk into that place and it's amazing, and it's got a great feel, and that town really wants to keep up its tradition. So I'm excited for it.
Absolutely. Have you had much? Obviously, you've met the team, and do you have a feel yet for what's going on? It's very early in the process, but what are your thoughts on what you've got going on there?
Yeah, I've been over to Open Gyms for the last 3 weeks or so, and good talent. The talent's young. I think we could be pretty good next year, but we might be a year away from really kind of getting it going. But the base is good, the foundation is good, and Rick Harrison was a great coach. Rick Rick and I used to exchange film, and Rick and I coached against each other for 6 years, and Rick was awesome. But getting this opportunity, the foundation of the program is really good. So the talent's young, but I think we can really get it going, and should be a great opportunity.
What style of play do you think you're going to implement, or do you go with you roll with your players and what they can give you, or do you go with what you want to do?
No, I mean a combination of both.
Yeah.
First of all, the Federal League has always been a half-court league. It's always been, and Jackson's had really good teams, and Hoover a couple years ago had some really good teams, and Glen Oak's got great talent, and Perry's up and coming. Green's really well coached. But the league is very half-court based. It's a very every possession matters kind of feel. But I think too, we have the best athletes in the league, so we're going to try to speed the game up a little bit, and we're going to play as fast as we possibly can. But we also got to get good in the half court, because even if you win the league, or you're great in the league, or you're successful in the league, you still have to have a half court mentality come March, because everybody in March is playing low scoring games. No games in March are played in the 80s and 90s. They're just not, and not in high school basketball. So, we're going to pressure. We're going to play fast. We're going to do all those things that Canton McKinley should do. But one of my big goals is to make sure that we're prepared for the grinded out games. For all the Valley people that follow football. Everybody airs it out during the regular season, but all of a sudden everybody runs it. Everybody runs the football. Everybody runs the football late in the year. So basketball is kind of the same way, and we're going to try to bring a little bit of a hybrid combination between those two.
Is that the best basketball league in the state?
I think it is, and all the people in Cincinnati and think the GCL, some people think the GCL is really good. Some people think the league with Hamilton and Princeton, and that league's really good. The name of the league escapes me. Some people think the Greater Cleveland Conference is pretty good with Shaker and Menor, but I think the Federal League is unbelievably well coached. It's you're talking about 4 of the last 14 state championships. You're talking about guys. If you look at the resumes of guys coaching in the Federal League right now, it's incredible, and a lot of success and a lot of hard-fought victories for them. So I think it's the best league in the state, but I'm a little biased.
I think it is.
I guess we're going to find out here shortly.
Our area here, everybody hangs their hat on football. It's been a while since we've had a boys state champion. We've had some teams get down there to state. And it seems people quantify, the success or the quality of a sport in terms of how many state titles you have, and that's understandable because everybody plays for that ultimate goal. But I've always felt that doesn't necessarily mean there's a bad product, that we have bad basketball around here. And I don't think so. We've got great coaching, and we've had really good players come through. And I think it's a good product for people to go out and see, through the wintertime.
Well, I think one of the biggest differences between us and the rest of and I'll always say us because I'm a Valley guy, the difference between us and the rest of the state is we have more small schools than a lot of other places. Like you look in Stark County right now where I'm going to, you don't have this Glen Oak, Hoover, Lake, Perry, McKinley. Like those are big schools that eat up 80% of Stark County. But if you look at Mahoning County and Trumbull County, you have a lot of small schools. And you've had a lot of small school success, but you have the McDonald's and the Struthers and the Camels and and they're all great programs. They do a great job. But if you start to consolidate pieces, like they've consolidated pieces, well, they haven't really consolidated, but if you have the same size schools, I think you would see a different brand of basketball over here. Our original boundaries kind of limit us because of how many small districts we have.
That's a great point.
And I don't think enough people look at that. Like you go to Cleveland, there's no D3 and 4 schools in Cleveland unless they're private schools. If you go to Canton, there's no D3 and D4 schools. In Akron, same thing. Everybody's big. And what you're getting is sometimes and I don't mean this term offensively, but you're getting a watered down version sometimes in Youngstown because you just have so many schools with a less population. As you move west to Cleveland, Akron, Canton, you're getting less schools, more kids, and a greater quality of talent.
Over recent years, I've had the good fortune, pleasure to do a lot of Canfield Poland, and those basketball games have just been tremendous. The atmosphere, both student bodies turn out, and it's been terrific, I think.
Well, and if you go to the Federal League, Jackson Lake, Jackson McKinley, Green Lake, they have that same feel. That's one of the best rivalries. And Canfield Poland's a phenomenal rivalry. 2 phenomenal coaches. Muck does a great job at Canfield. Grizz obviously does an unbelievable job at Poland. But the fan bases are into it. And I don't know if you get that everywhere around here. I don't know if that's always the case. But I think as you move to other parts of the state, that is actually a kind of a staple of the culture.
When things change around here league-wise, you guys obviously in the league with those teams, you guys at Harding, wearing the bullseye in a lot of ways, but that's okay. You want that to be in that situation.
You mean when I was at Harding?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and it's funny because now I'm going to Canton McKinley, and it's kind of the same deal.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the suburban schools want to beat Canton McKinley at the Fieldhouse. Green, who has a great program, won their first game at the Fieldhouse since like 1920. There's an article in the paper, and they made a big deal about it. And then but coming back to here. In the Valley, it's the same thing here. They, a lot of teams wanted to beat us, and some people had, Boardman beat us 2 years ago, and Poland's beaten us twice, and East beat us this year, and those programs beat us, and when you watch those guys react, their kids react to that, it's kind of important to them. But that was the challenge at Harding, just to make sure that our kids were up every single night because you knew you were going to take everybody's best shot.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but we still have a moment or so to go here, and we mentioned the Cavs-Celtics situation. So I want your take on it. Cavs trailing 3-2. Again, as we tape this show. So what are your thoughts on what can they do, will they do here before it's all done?
Well, two things I think. One, their defense has gotten better. But LeBron needs to empower his teammates.
There you are.
And those teammates also need to step up. I think sometimes when you play with LeBron's not an easy guy to play with. He's so talented. I'm a fan. I've always been a fan, but sometimes I get frustrated. If he empowers those teammates and those teammates step up, which we've seen we've seen glimpses of all that. We've seen that, where they get on that run and the flow is. And basketball is a flow game. It's not football. You don't have 35 seconds to choose a play, and it's a flow game, and chemistry really matters. So I think those couple things happen. I think they got a chance.
I think they do too, but stay tuned. We'll see what happens. We again, you always root for local guys, obviously, and I'm really happy for you in this situation. Hate to see you leave, as we talked about, bittersweet for you, but can't thank you enough for everything you've done here in our area for local, high school sports, and obviously for coming on the show. And best of luck to you, Andy.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll see you again soon. So
awesome. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back to wrap it up here on Loose Change. Hang on.
Business Solutions is the last phone system you'll ever need. Choose from multiple high-definition phones and over 50 features, including video chat, conferencing, and virtual room collaboration. Unified Voice is cloud-based. New capabilities are continually added through Armstrong's high-quality, reliable network. Plus, it's affordable. Pay for only what you need with predictable monthly expenses and no surprises. Focus on your business, not your phone system. Unified Voice from Armstrong Business Solutions. Your business is our business.
Well, that's going to do it for our show. Thanks as always to the great Greg Groten, to all of you guys, and certainly to Andy Vlajkovich, the new head boys basketball coach at Canton McKinley. Good luck, Andy. Go get him. I'm Jim Evans. We'll catch you next time right here on Loose Change.
Armstrong would like to say thank you for your generosity and donations to our Healing Heroes initiative. With your help, we've raised the funds necessary to train 8 service dogs from Guardian Angels to be donated to area veterans suffering from disabilities such as PTSD and brain injury, among others. If you or a loved one are a qualifying veteran and would like to apply, please visit medicalservicedogs.org and click on Applications. Together, we can unleash the power of hope, the power of giving, the power to heal.